Hey guys, how's it going? I just finished up the Steve Cab video and I wanted to do another video just on another deck that I managed to grab from that same seller. And as you can see here, we've got the original Vision with the Gator graphic on it. And so there's a lot about this board. And so this one, you can get them with the modern Concave nowadays. But this one is the classic Concave from the 80s, like early 80s, so super flat. Like you hardly feel any concave to this at all. The shrink's still on it, so it kind of throws it off a bit. But anyways, it's super flat. Really rad graphic, very iconic. I mean, Mark Anthony Gator back in the day was the king. I had this one video called Psycho Skate. And there was other riders in it, Christian Hosoi and Tony Hawk, obviously, but it was really heavily based around Gator and just his style and his accomplishments and stuff. So the big backstory behind, Gator is that he was king, and then he ended up, as things were transitioning over to street, he was really struggling with that. There was obviously some other things going on in his life. Anyways, things went sideways for him really quick. He ended up murdering his partner. I forget if it was his wife or his girlfriend. So yeah, there's a great documentary on YouTube actually, The Rise and Fall of Gator. And if you haven't watched it yet, I would encourage you to do it. So this graphic here, when you're seeing like the original Vision stuff, this is probably them trying to distance themselves a little bit from Mark. And then also the thing that I've heard about Vision is that the owner doesn't have to pay royalties. He owns the graphics and stuff, so he doesn't have to pay royalties to the skaters if he's not using their name. And so I'm not even going to comment on that, but anyways, probably for this reason, this was more because they were trying to distance himself from Gator and his actions. And so Gator, I forget if he's still in jail now or not, but yeah, anyways, probably not good to have your brand associated with a situation like that. It's just difficult because such an iconic skater and such an iconic graphic. And so again, this one is still being made by the same company that made them in the 80s. And so good strong wood. There's like no warpage to this one at all. It's a solid deck. Now in saying that, that Jinx up there did have a little bit of a twist to it, so I don't know, with boards it tends to be hit and miss. This one is probably from 2008 because the seller's collection was from around 2008, and so for 2008, like, this thing is straight, it's super straight, and so very flat deck as far as dimensions. It's a 10 by 30, and again, you're measuring that from the bottom of the board and you take it from the nose to the tip, and so that's 30 inches long, and then the width is 10 inches, and then the wheelbase, again, we talked about this in the cab video, but you measure the inner truck holes, and that's 16.25 inches for the wheelbase. Yeah, and so as far as hole pattern with this one, as I mentioned, with a lot of the Powell reissues, the majority of them are the old school hole patterns. I've found that with both my Bones and Bats Steve Cabs, the streets, that they've been more the new school hole pattern. I'm just wondering if it's because a smaller deck, it makes more sense that way. But anyways, let's just take a look here and see. And so again, I've got my Vision Psycho, nice rubber riser here. It's nice and soft to take some of that impact when you're just cruising. And so I can look at this and see, okay, so it's not the old school hole pattern, or it'd be from here to here. So yeah, even with these Vision reissues, they've gone to the new school hole pattern, which is odd because everything else about this deck is very OG. Again, the concave, you've got the dig outs here for the wheel wells to prevent that burn. Pretty sweet deck. So yeah, so to be honest, the deck that I'm looking for, the Gator has, the one that I owned when I was a kid, had the Gator, just from top to bottom, and you can get that as a reissue as well. And so the reason why I ended up getting this one was, while I was there, I was talking to the seller just about, the original Vision and how they've changed the graphic there. And so you know, the majority of people would want to at least have it saying Gator there, and if they could get on their hands on something that still had Mark's name associated with it, then they would prefer that as well. And so as we're walking out, he just said, well, you know, would you consider the Gator for like $50? And so I said, well, is it still in shrink? And he's like, yeah, it's still in shrink. So I ended up, and so I'm in Canada, so $50 is a really good deal for us. Decks like this would typically be, you know, 100 to, well, probably 90 to 120 bucks, depending on the store you're getting them from. So at $50, it's a wicked deal, still in shrink. So to be honest, I'll probably, you know, use this as trade bait and or sell it to help me continue to build out my collection further. All right, guys. Well, hopefully that covers this deck. Again, I mean, iconic graphic. It looks sweet on the wall. But if I'm going to get a Gator, I'm going to get the vert one with the graphic up and down. Sweet deck, though, if this is what you're looking for, man. It's wicked. All right. Cheers. Thanks, guys.